Rabbi Azoi. One day in the 1860s, the Aruch HaShulchan was approached by an eminent businessman who looked despondent and distraught. When the Aruch HaShulchan asked him what was wrong, he was initially shy to respond. He was embarrassed. Eventually, he told the Aruch HaShulchan that something had gone disastrously wrong with his morning coffee. What could go so wrong with the morning coffee that this man looked, now, so inconsolable? My high. Born in 1829 in what is today Belarus, the Aruch HaShulchan's full name was Yechiel Michal Epstein. His son, the Torah relates that the family traced their lineage back to the Ra'ah and the Bala Ma'or, and they were actually part of the mass exile from Spain in 1492. They changed their name from Benvenisti to Epstein, after the German town Epstein, which provided them with refuge after their exile. The Aruch HaShulchan's father worked in construction, and the Aruch HaShulchan, when he was a young man, wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. But his Talmudic talent took him to the Volozhin Yeshiva. From there, he didn't look back. He became known as one of the Yeshiva's great masmidim, even by the Yeshiva's very high standards. There he formed a very strong kesher with the Netziv, the future Rosh Yeshiva, eventually marrying the Netziv's sister. After Netziv's first wife died, the Netziv married the Aruch HaShulchan's daughter, meaning that Netziv was both the brother-in-law and the son-in-law of the Aruch HaShulchan. Despite not being Hasidic himself, the Aruch HaShulchan's first rabbinic position was in the Hasidic Russian town of Novozhivkov. It was there that he started to write his great magnum opus, the Aruch HaShulchan. But that was not his only sefer. Other sfarim of his include Or Yesharim, a commentary on Rabbeinu Tam's Sefer HaYashar, and Leil Shimurim, a perush on the Pesach Haggadah. In 1874, he accepted the rabbanus of the eminent Lithuanian town Novardok, where he served for the last 37 years of his life. There he gave smicha to many of the most prominent rabbanim of the generation, including Rav Zalman Meltzer, Rav Kook, and the future Ponovitch Rav. More about his life soon. Now back to our question. What could go so wrong with a cup of coffee that this businessman now look so despondent? So here's the background. The Mishnah states that it's prohibited to drink chalav akum, milk where the process of milking was not supervised by a Jew. The Gemara explains this prohibition. There's a concern that non-kosher milk, milk from a non-kosher animal, will get mixed in with kosher milk, and the Jewish consumer won't be able to detect that mixture. The Aruch HaShulchan writes that in his day, there was an opinion out there that if a person could check that in that town, the only animals being milked were kosher animals, there should be no problem in drinking unsupervised milk. The businessman now confessed that he used to stay in a particular inn, and he and his friends would go every day to a shop opposite that inn where they would buy delicious, milky, creamy, full-fat milk for their coffee. They had checked that all the animals being used for milking in that town were kosher animals. So what could be the issue? One day, the businessman decided to ask the shopkeeper how he produced such delicious milk for the coffee. The shopkeeper was very happy to get positive feedback and keenly explained that he would go to the local non-kosher butcher shop, ask them for leftover brains from the animals sold in the shop, take those brains, crush them, and cook them together with the milk. And that's what produced this delicious, creamy texture. The businessman could not believe what he heard. The source for Chazal's ability to create dinim and mitzvos d'Rabbanan is in this week's parsha. The pasuk says, "Do not deviate, lo sasor, from the word they tell you, either right or left." The Aruch HaShulchan writes that he had a Masorah from his rabbis that even when the Gemara gives a particular explanation for a certain din d'Rabbanan, like it did in the case of chalav akum, one can't assume that that's the only reason, that that's exhaustive. There might be other reasons, other justifications, hidden from our knowledge, concealed from us. Indeed, after relating this story to the Aruch HaShulchan, the businessman cried out, "Kama gedolim divrei chachamim." How great are the words of the Rabbanon. Most of the Shulchan Aruch is made up of dinim d'Rabbanan and mitzvos d'Rabbanan. The Aruch HaShulchan dedicated his life to clarifying those rulings, both in his own writings and issuing practical psakim. This is beautifully illustrated by the manner in which he wrote his masterpiece, as related by his grandson. He would sit in the Beis Din the entire day, apart from a couple of hours where he would either eat or daven. And people would come in with shilas all day long. Between those people coming in, he would sit there with 4 Sfarim in front of him, a Rambam, a Torah, a Shulchan Aruch, or whatever Gemara he was learning at the time. And in between those people coming, he would write his Aruch HaShulchan. This great masterpiece was literally written Bein Gavra LeGavra. And there were no crossings out or mistakes. It was taken as it was written, straight to the printer. The strength of his legacy is perhaps best summed up by Rav Reuven Feinstein, who said that his father, Rav Moshe, would give special weight to the Aruch HaShulchan, often above other poskim. This was because the Aruch HaShulchan was not only outstanding in his knowledge, but like the story of the creamy milk and his daily scheduling based in show, he was always busy applying that knowledge in practical settings with people day in, day out. Good Shabbos. If you have any feedback or stories you'd like us to cover, please email glimpsesofgadlus@gmail.com.